Welcome to Ecstasy Crafts and our Daffodil Slimline card class. So first off, I want to go over what's in your kit, what came in your kit. So you will have your die cut set and you will have some twine. I couldn't find my blue twine that I used, but yours will be like blues and purples. It's variegated. And you will have a pre-made card base and a matching coordinating envelope with that, a piece of Miri, and then a couple of pieces of plain white cardstock. So out of that, we're going to cut our pieces. Now for the class, of course, I've prepped all mine. So I have my stuff all pre-cut. So what you're going to need to do is cut your Miri and a piece of white cardstock. You're going to have to cut them down to fit the card base. The Miri is a little bit larger than your card base. So you need to trim that down, and then you're going to need to cut a piece of white cardstock to fit on the front. And then the rest of your white cardstock will be used to cut out all your daffodil pieces. Now they're all cut out of white, and we are going to ink all the pieces for this card. You will also have a small Happy Mother's Day sentiment. If you don't want it for a Mother's Day card, don't put the sentiment on. You can add your own. I'm sure you have something in your stash for that. And I did use some three-dimensional drops for added feature. You don't have to put those in there, but you can if you like. All right, so without further ado, and all your measurements you will find in your instructions, and you need to cut two sets of this to complete the card. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to ink everything. So I'm going to separate it all out, and I will go over with you what pieces are for what. So we have all the stem and leaf pieces. And again, it's two of each one that you need to cut out, double of everything. So I'm just organizing these. So all of these pieces, all of these will be colored green. I'm going to see if I have some dark cardstock or something darker to put this on to make it more visible for you. Well, we'll have to make do. So all of your, let me do it this way. So in your die cut, you've got these three long stems and a shorter one. Those will all be colored green. We're going to ink all those green. And then you have, these must be doubled. So then you have two different, put these together. So then you have this and this. So your two different, to me, they look like trilliums until you put it together, but those will be white. They're going to be here. And this one as well will be white. So what those are, I chose to color them this way. A true daffodil is actually yellow all the way. So mine are more like oh, I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, they are, we're going to do them white. You can do them yellow if you choose. I did mine white just for the contrast to stand out on the card. And then these little, all the other ones will be orange. So the center piece, this piece, and this one here, we're going to do them a yellowy orange color. So there, you can see the transition in the color. It's yellow around the outer edges, and as it goes in towards the middle, it's a little darker. These ones I sort of did in reverse because they're just a bud blooming out, and they tend to look a little darker normally, and then they open up and they're lighter. So that's how that's done. So without further ado, I will actually, I'm going to see if I can sit that in the camera so you can see it. And then we're going to start doing some coloring, and we're going to color these up. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to put all the white things off to the side. So these, and what else? It was this piece. So these are all white. They don't need to be inked. So I'm going to put those off to the side so temptation doesn't make me grab those and start inking them. And then these ones here I'm going to put off to the side because they're going to be yellow and orange. And let's start with the green. Now, one of the things to keep in mind when you're coloring your green, where they bend tends to be a little darker. It's more of a shadow effect. So when you're coloring these, if you think about your flowers in your garden, try to do a little bit of green shading on the bend parts, or like up closer to where it grabs onto the bud of the flower. They always tend to be a little bit darker. So if you only have one color of green, that's fine. Just start with a light hand and then you can work up to it. All right, so I am using some Lisa Horton ink, and my lids have been reversed on these. I'm actually wanting to start with the Margarita. I want to start with the lighter color. I'm just going to clean this brush off a little bit. Start with the Margarita, and I'm just very lightly going to color these in, and then I'll come back over it with some Woodland Moss to do the darker areas. I'm not sure where you're located as you're watching this, but right now these flowers are in full bloom everywhere you drive. Every garden almost has these in full bloom right now. They are just stunning. It's so refreshing to see the nice spring flowers out. For me, daffodils and these types of flowers, the bulbs that come out first, tulips, it's so refreshing and it's nice, and it gets you out of the winter blahs. So you should always try to start with a light hand, because once your color is on, you can't go back and lighten it, but you can go back and darken it. Now, these are delicate, so try to work gently as you're doing your inking. You won't be able to do your circular motion if that's how you like to ink. It's more of a drag on it. And you'll see it starts to darken around the outer edges, which is perfect. That adds a lot of dimension and shadow effect. So I am doing the light color on the entire piece, and then I'll come back over with the woodland moss, the darker green, and I will darken them up. And it's going to get messy. Have some wipes ready to clean up in between your colors, maybe. Wipe your hands off. And don't worry, I don't know if you noticed, but I bent that back with my brush. You're not going to notice it by the time you get this all put together, so don't stress about that. One more to go in this color. All right, so that's it for my margarita. Now I'm going to come in with my woodland moss. I'm going to use the same brush, green on green, that's okay. And all I want to do is add a little bit and darken up in some of the areas on here. So you can see how I'm darkening it more and more with the deeper color. It's going to just provide some more shade effect. See if I can pull this one out and just show you the difference in the colors, adding the two colors to it. You can see how this one has darkened up a lot more. So I'm doing more of just like a dab on here than a brushing. Just to add some color to it, deeper color. Now I'll move on to these. These ones, I think I want them a little bit darker than the other ones. But again, I don't necessarily want to do full coverage with this because I would like a little bit of the lighter margarita color to show through. And then these ones, I'm just going to do a quick swipe over them. A lot of these get covered up. And then these, what I want to do, you can see how I've added a darker area on here because that leaf is supposed to look like it's twisted a little bit and going off to the one side. So I want to make this part darker. I'm going to come in fairly heavy in here and blend it down into the ends. So you can see the difference there. Same with this one. I'm going to clean up my green when I'm done this one. And then I'm going to move on to my yellow when I'm done this part. There we go. Make sure you clean your fingers off too after doing that, because you get a lot of ink on your fingers because your hands are right in there and they're tiny pieces. And you don't want to transfer that green onto your other colors. Dry that a little bit. So my next color is going to be my yellow. All my stems are finished. So I am using Juicy Pineapple. So I am going to give all these pieces a base of Juicy Pineapple. And then I'm going to go over them to get that orangey color. I'm going to go over them with a little bit of red. But first we'll do the Juicy Pineapple on them. Whenever I'm inking, I always like to come in from the outer edges into there, and I find it will give you a darker edge in whatever color it is that you're working with. Just gives it a nice effect, because that's where the ink is going to rub up against the edge of the paper cutout, and it's going to pick that up. If you don't want that, just work in the center and work your way out. It's more noticeable with your darker colors. You may have noticed that when I was doing the green stems. These glass mats are great because you can pick your ink back up off the mat onto your project again. This mat's by Studio Light. It's magnetic. It's got centimeters and inches on it. White background. I love this. All right, so that is it for our Juicy Pineapple. I'm going to put that off to the side. And then I'm going to bring in some Strawberry Sundae. And this is going to give us our orangey color, because these are blending inks. It's going to give you some orange and just give some depth. You don't need a lot. You want just a hint of it. These little tiny pieces are really hard to do. I don't mind if these ones are darker. And if you darken it up too much, you can always come back over it with your yellow again. And that will actually lighten it a little bit. You're not going to be able to get it completely lightened, but it'll lighten it a little bit. It'll make it more orangey instead of more red. You can really see in this one by dragging it back over the edge how it highlighted more orangey red along the edge. Let's see if I can get that closer. And so you can see how much darker it is around the edges there. And that's all you want to do on those, is just come in from the top and brush it down. And that's going to do that. I'll add a little bit more to this one. Just like that. And the same with these ones. So this part here is the end of the flower, the nub part that's going to stick out, and this part's going to be covered up with the green stem. So again, start from that end, brush it down just a little wee bit, and that's going to give you that orangey color there. All right, so that's it for that. So again, I'm going to clean up my workstation, and the next inking is going to be our background. Dry my space off a little bit. So just move all your little die cuts that you've just inked off to the side. And then we're going to work on our background. So you will be working on the piece of white cardstock that you have cut 3.5 by 7 3/4. And what we'll be using here is the blue and the yellow and a green, or both greens if you choose. And you can see I've got a little bit of purple in here. We'll be able to achieve that with the blue and the yellow or the blue and the red. We'll mix a little bit of red in with that if you want it. You don't need it. I just thought it added a little bit of depth, and I brought it more in here to make it look like a little earthy down in amongst the green for the grass. So the very first color we're going to use is yellow. And what you want to create is you want to create the illusion of, if you're looking off at something in the distance and the yellowy portion is going to be like sun or light with some blue skies around there, and then your earth, your grass, and your dirt. So, and sun isn't just, a circle in the sky. Sometimes you see it shooting up or down or out sideways. So what I do is I start with a circle, a loose circle. It doesn't have to be precise. So the bottom third of my cardstock is going to be, I'm going to sort of imagine that as being ground level. And then everything up here is going to be sky and sunshine. So in approximately the center of the top 2/3 of your card, just very gently and lightly start inking in a circular motion, And then you can branch out from it a little bit and bring it down. This is your sunlight shining. Bring that up so you can see I've got a central spot of yellow, and then I've brought it down. You want, like I said, lightly. I did come in again and go in darker over the center of that, just a little bit, but I just want this hint of yellow coming out and coming down. So then my next color is going to be my blue. Again, make sure you're starting light, and then I'm going to start off my paper and ink into it. Nice and lightly. Some circular motions, and I'm going to work my way around this sun spot that I have created. And because they're blending inks, the colors will blend. So if you're going to blend the yellow and the blue excessively, you're going to end up with a green. So you want to just gently go in around the sun like that. And then I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to bring the blue down a little bit further. Like this. Don't be afraid of leaving little white patches either, because when you look at the sky, you see lighter and darker. So if you've got some light patches in there, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Now I brought my blue down a little further because what I want to do is I want to come in just gently with a little and blend in a little bit of red into that blue. I might even come up a little bit because I kind of like that purpley color coming off. When you blend the red and the blue, you're going to get a bit of a purple color. So now I've got a little bit of purple in there. And if you mix it in with the yellow, you're going to get some orange. And that's okay too. We can make that sunshine a little orangey. Like that. There we go. Now I'm going to come in with my greens. I'm very lightly going to come in with my margarita. I've got a nice green, light green base, and now I'm going to come in with my darker green. And what I'm going to do with my darker green, I want to create like a darker. So I'm going to start here. This is sort of going to be like dirt. It's just going to be darker. And then I'm just going to patchy, add a little bit more here and there. You don't want it to look perfect. And just remember, most of this is going to be covered up. Now, I've made mine much darker in my first one than I have. I'm very light-handed today, and that's okay. They're never going to look identical. I can darken up that purpley color a little bit by adding some more blue. and blend down into the green, which is going to deepen that up. A little bit more red. You can see how it's building up. There, deepened that up a little bit. But I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it like that. Just like that. Now what we're going to do next is we are going to assemble our flowers. Just clean my work surface again. So when I did this, just while I'm drawing my surface, what I did was I assembled these flowers first. I assembled each piece first, and then I mounted these on. This one and this one are double foam tabbed, and the rest are glued into place. Don't glue your stems on. Just put everything in place so that it points down towards the center, and just fasten these on first, because we're going to bring it down. We're going to wrap the string around, then we're going to trim it off. So that's why you don't want to fasten your stems down yet. And once we get them all in place and we're ready, you can add some glue to hold them in place. So we're going to start with these, the white pieces. Now there are two different styles, I'll call them. So you've got this one here and this one here. You want one of each to make your flower. So I'm going to take one and one and one and one, and it does not matter which way you do these, because it's going to look the same essentially once you get your centerpiece into place. Now, one of the things you can do before you glue these pieces together is you can manipulate the petals to make them three-dimensional. And that's what I did with mine. And it just gives your card a whole lot of dimension. So all I did was put my fingers in here and pinch with my other two for each one of these. Just like that. I'll do the other one. And then we're just going to put a little bit of glue into the center. And fasten them together. You can do this as little or as much as you want, and you can always adjust them after. If you think you've done too much on them, you can adjust them after. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the center of this. Hold it in place for a moment. Same with this one. We'll put those off to the side and let them dry. And then we're going to take these and these, and we're going to fasten them together. So the colored portion is going to go underneath the white. The white part are petals that are just starting to open up. If you would like to make them dimensional, you can. They're just harder to do because they're not separate. And then all I'm going to do is put some glue back here. You just don't want that to show in behind. And mine is a little bit, that glue stuck very quickly on that one. I'll try it like this time. There we go, like that. And then for these, here's my poker. I just use the end of my poker and I want to push down a little bit on it. And just twirl it a little bit. You can manipulate it this way too if you want. Because we do want that to poke out a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm going to add a little drop of glue in the center of each of these. Just a little wee bit. Because now I'm going to fasten these in place. Now don't wipe that glue if you get, like mine did, I put a little bit too much in it, squished out, because it'll discolor, it'll leave a streak in your ink. All right. Now I'm going to pair all these up with the appropriate flowers. Actually, I almost forgot. We're going to put these centers into these. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue in the center here because they're bigger. And then we're going to drop them down into place. Apply some pressure for it to grab. There we go. And then I'm going to pair these up to show you which goes with what. So those stems go with those. And then these stems, we're going to fasten them like this. And these ones are going to go on like that. These are leaves, so they're going to go on after. And then we're going to use those on those. So I'm going to start off by gluing these together. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back here and lay these in place. So just like that. And then I'll do these. You just want to put some glue on the back of this part. And then you want to line it up. Just like that. They're hard to pick up on here. again, just a bit of glue on here. And then we're going to line it up. Just like that. And then for these are just going to go right onto the back here. So you just need a little bit of glue like that. Is there any up or down with these? I don't think so. I don't feel like there is. So you can put your stem wherever you would like and just fasten it into the back of that. Same with this one. And then we'll add our leaves at the very end, or close to the end anyway. All right, so now we have all these pieced together. Now what I'm going to start doing is placing these onto my card. Now I'm not going to stick anything down yet. I am going to pick one of these. Doesn't really matter which one, but I'm going to pick one of these, and I am just going to put 2 foam tabs on the center back of this one, but leave the paper backing on it so it doesn't stick. But you want to see what your dimension is with this. So that's why I'm putting the foam tabs on, but not peeling them off. And then I did the same with one of these, double foam tab, just onto the flower back. And again, don't peel the backing off the second one once you get it in place. Leave that on, because what we want to do now, we want to do our placement. Don't worry about your stems being too long or too short. We're going to cover all that up. We're going to bring them all down. And you can see why I'm saying about not gluing your stems down, because once that's fastened, you can manipulate these a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And then for this one, I'm just going to put this over here so you can see it. And then I've filtered that one through like that. Pull this one down further. Actually, I'm going to put that one. So I want one of these in like this. You can go over a little bit because remember you've got, this is just the face of the card. And go like that. Like that. And then like this. Which I might even, yeah, it needs to fill in there. So just like that. So now that I have that placed like this, what I'm going to do is get my glue, because I like this placement. I'm okay with things overlapping. I might just bring this one down a smidgen more. And because I've got it up, I'm going to put it on top. Now, what I'm going to do is add some glue. I'm going to glue that down, just the head of the flower. You can come back in and tuck in pieces after, but we want to get everything in place. And if you only glue the centers, then you can still get some dimension with the rest of them. I'm going to pull this one out and glue these ones down. Peel the tape off that one. Stick that one down. Let's glue to the back of that one. All right. Tuck that in under there a little bit. Maybe up a little bit. I don't know. That looks good. I'm all right with that. And then you can figure out where you want your leaves. I can put that in behind that too. No two are ever the same. And then I think I like that there. So I'm going to put some glue on the back here. And then this, I'm going to leave it not glued there, and I'm going to just add a little bit of glue down here for it. If I can get in here. Doesn't take much because once it sets, it's good. I want that up over there. So it's nice to get the overlap because it gives you the illusion of depth. So now I have everything in place like this. And my next thing is I'm going to wrap some twine around. Now, check your length because you need to do a bow too, or you can add a different bow to it. So I think I'm going to wrap it here. So what you want to do now is on the back side of your card, you want to put a piece of double-sided tape running vertically on the card to hold it in place. Where's the tape? Again, just doesn't have to be exact, just approximate. Because then what you're going to do is pull that off, find an end And then I'm going to wrap this around. Again, mine's a different color because I can't find the blue one that I used. Not sure what happened to it. So as you can see, I'm catching the double-sided tape in the back. Just like that. Push that down. On my scissors. Now, we're also going to foam tab this part up. So the foam is, what you're going to do is run the foam down to here, pick it up again on this side and go around. Same on this side. If you try to run it over it, it's going to be way too bulky and it's going to cause you some issues. So what I'm going to do because of that, I'm going to take another piece of double-sided tape and I'm going to put it on top, right over top of this, but I'm not going to peel the backing off. I'm going to leave it like that. It's just going to help hold the twine in place. Like that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to trim these off. So we want to pull them all into the center as close as possible. Remember, you're going to put a little bow on there. And we're just going to trim those off. And then I'm going to come back in with my glue underneath here. And I'm going to add some glue. And catch all those. And that's going to secure all those stems in place, just like that. I'm going to put that off to the side, let it dry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that Miri and using double-sided tape, we're going to mount it onto the card front. Good thing that's the back. All right. A little piece in the center like that. I'm not sure how you guys do your mounting. First off, make sure that your card is in the right direction. For this part, it's not the end of the world, but now I take my center piece off first. And then what I like to do is, I find it easier, where's my poker? I peel a little bit back and fold it out. This way, as I try to center it on my card base, there's only a little bit of tape sticking. And it's easier to lift it and reposition it instead of having all the tape exposed. It's always harder on camera because the camera's in my way and I can't get my head over it as well. It's not great, but it's better than... There we go. So now I've got this on here. And then what we're going to do is run foam around here and mount it on here. I like to use the long strips for this part. do it gently so you're not squishing your flowers. And again, remember, you're just going to go up to the twine, and then you're going to pick it up. You're going to cut it, and you're going to pick it up after. And this way you won't get a lot of bulk. Use that piece over here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to run another one just for stability down the center. You can run it wherever you want. Horizontally, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just adds a little bit of stability into the back when you're mounting it up and you've got a big space like that, not adhered down. All right. Again, make sure your card is facing the correct way. You mount that down. And then all you need to do is add your sentiment to the bottom. Oh, and the bow. I forgot about the bow. All right. Look at that. Look at the difference between the light background and the background, the dark background, I mean. Now, I did add some winkles or wink of Stella. Some of you might have. I added that to it. All right. These are fabulous. If you don't have one, you should get one, because they're pretty cool. So they're adjustable. You can adjust the size of your bows. All right. And then we're just going to loop that around. That, and then it's left over right. And then under and over and through. Nope. Like this. And then you tie it. I feel like I'm all thumbs doing this. You tie it off, and there you have a lovely little bow. You can pull it tighter again once you get it off. And trim it off. Where'd my glue go? I'm just going to glue that down into place right there. Add some glue. That'll soak through and hold everything in place. Loosen those off. I'm not going to put a sentiment on this one. You guys can put your sentiment on. I've already got a Happy Mother's Day. I might add something else to this. But there you go. There you have it. There is the Daffodil Slimline card with the Marianne die and a beautifully inked background. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and watch for the release of the masculine card. I'm not quite ready with it yet, but it'll be up on the